Okay, councillors, we're back in council. Councillor Burns just needed medical attention and we wish him well. Okay, councillors, we'll move over to page 140. I think I'm right with councillor.
Yeah, we voted on page 95.
Okay, councillors, we're back in council. Councillor Burns just needed medical attention and we wish him well. Okay, councillors, we'll move over to page 140. Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, just a point. Councillor Burns was the seconder. This is a most unusual circumstance, but Councillor Burns was the seconder on that motion and is now no longer in the chamber. So just for the sake of administrative clarity, it'd be good maybe if we could get yeah, thank you.
So who moved the original? I thought it was Councillor Watts. Councillor Fisher. Councillor Fisher now and Councillor Watts. Any more questions, comment, discussion?
I just wanted to, sorry to go on a bit, but with respect to the correspondence I got from Mr. Thurgood, I don't need to hand it to council. You've received it, is that correct, Mr. Mayor? Through you, Mr. Mayor? Because I'm happy to give you my correspondence if you would like it.
I think any correspondence that gets handed to you, pass it straight into the office, to the General Manager. Thank you. Okay, all in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, councillors, over to page 140. QWN 08.1 questions with notice. Councillor Abbott, you happy with your responses?
I have a few queries. Question 3. I have been informed that the northern side is complete, but the southern side has had no work done. And our Upper Hunter Shire Council are going to leave the southern side as it is with poor drainage and a large dip that may one day cause a serious accident. So this has been an issue for a while that's concerned a family in that street. So that's question, a further question to the one I did put down there.
So you're happy to take that on more notice?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And then with respect to question 1, given Upper Hunter Shire Council made this business decisions at a time of confusion and contradictory advice, what steps have been taken to ensure that all family daycare educators were compensated for the 50% reduction in their fees during the period of the lockdown? That's a further question in relation to the family daycare education. And also just with respect to the first part where where council has in that second paragraph, it's a third paragraph where it says this grant applies to the approved provider and it is a business decision. Those words, it is a business decision, acknowledges it was a decision made in council's interest and that Upper Hunter Shire Council has used the transitional grant to recoup its own losses. So again, family daycare educators are wondering how they are going to be compensated for their losses as well. So will I leave that with you as well?
Yes.
Thank you. And then,
Sorry. Just Christian, you got that on notice?
That's for me.
Or Matt, sorry?
Yeah, no, it'll be recorded. Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, lovely. And question 4. In relation to the bicycle question and the response that there's a plan. It's now 2020 and much has happened, and seriously, a plan is just a piece of paper until it becomes a reality. And I'm being told we have a plan. I mean, we have to do a lot more. I've said this over and over, and our cycleways are very, very almost non-existent. But what is really concerning me are the footpaths. More than the cycleways, we really do need footpaths through the towns throughout the whole Shire. So that one, I'm a bit sorry, I was told there was a 2014 plan. And essentially question 5, no, not question 5, question 6, with respect to global warming and the DPOP and our community strategic plan, we still are not doing enough for climate change and mitigating the disaster that's essentially here. And basically, we're already seeing our first climate refugees here in Australia with our farmers and their families and our rural Indigenous communities. And I just think that we really, since we declared a climate emergency, we haven't done enough. And we really, really need to actually take urgent action, emergency action. And I know we're doing an audit of council's emissions, which is fantastic, but we need to do a lot more and we are running out of time. So thank you. That's my response.
Thank you, Councillor Abbott. Councillor Watts, happy with your, oh,
Mr. Mayor,
Just some further questions, and certainly the one in relation to Scone Civic Theatre. I'm looking for some kind of update.
Through Mr. Mayor, I have a further update for you. I have actually spoken to the builder that's working on that project. I believe that in about 8 to 10 weeks, we should see the hoarding at the front of the building being removed. There has been delays in replacing some of the glazing at the front of the building. They're using a factory in Victoria, I understand, and there has been delays due to COVID-19 down that way. So obviously the hoarding is there for security and safety purposes.
Thank you. I appreciate that you've gone out to actually find out. And just in relation to the fluoride, the options analysis, do we have a time frame on that? It just tells us, it doesn't actually tell us when this is going to happen, only that we're committed to it.
Through the chair, I don't want to give you a specific time frame because I want to make sure I get it right. So I will take that on notice, but it won't be a long period of time in terms of the analysis itself.
Okay, so after the analysis, is there a process to actually put fluoride in the water?
Yeah, if we choose to go that way, through the chair, if we choose to go that way, that'll be a matter of going to tender with that. The thing that we'll have to consider and the thing that will inform whether we do that now or later is whether we want to add fluoride in a way that then has to be moved later at a future treatment plant, or whether we delay it to be integrated in a future treatment plant. That's a decision that we'll have to make before we proceed. So that's something that'll come back through, I would say, the Infrastructure Services Committee.
Thank you. And just finally, in response to the meetings all being recorded for future, I just think this is a better way for us to actually monitor what's being said in the minutes and that. So can council actually consider looking at that so we can discuss whether recordings of 355 committees can be recorded?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, probably an opportune time for you to make that decision. It would seem to me, though, it might be a decision that you'd wish to consult first, though, wouldn't it? Because I do know some councils who have gone down this path and it has not gone down well with the community members on the 355, because sometimes you have council members as well. Yeah, it's interesting to see that some community members don't think that's appropriate, that they have to record their meetings. So, but usually at the September meeting, of course, when you do your elections, you generally review, I'm not sure about past practice here, but that's generally when you review all your committee structures as well, and re-vote in your elected members on the various committees. And normally if you're going to make any changes to, particularly with 355s, because if you were to introduce that, you'd have to amend their charters and make sure that that was clearly spelt out in their operational charter. So it sounds, would I be right in assuming you'd want to consult on that before we put it to you, or put it to you for a decision to consult?
Well, yeah, I think, I mean, the community need to be consulted, but our problem will be that our committees are next month, September, change.
Yeah, that's correct. But that still doesn't, you're still able to consult. I mean, that's a fairly major change. So it's just a matter of whether you want us to consult with the 355s before we report to you on what happened, or whether you want to instruct us to do that consultation. But you'd want to write to all your 355 committees and say, look, we're thinking of doing this. What do you think about that?
I totally agree, but that will be the issue on the time frame. But yeah, so if you can consult with each of the 355 committees first.
Thank you. Okay, there'll be no,
Mr. Mayor, am I allowed to comment on one of the questions, or is it out of order?
probably not, councillor Campbell.
Not. Okay.
We'll leave it
Thank
alone.
you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to clarify, why can councillor Campbell not ask one of the questions or ask for further, given that this is before all of us?
I think councillor Campbell, you're going to ask a question on one of the councillors' questions. Is that correct?
Yes, it would be, but I'm happy to take
It
your
won't be
ruling.
debated.
Hmm?
Won't be debated. You can ask a quick question, but we're not getting into
Well, it'll be a
debate.
quick and a comment. Mr. Mayor, look, on this question 6 of Councillor Abbott, I just wonder why we're being bombarded with this campaign of fear. I happen to be one of the agricultural people who earn all their living from agriculture, so I'm very well aware of what happens within the atmosphere, and also with the change in climate. And I just suggest that rather than go down this end, we're having a biosphere collapse, we just need to read a bit of history, and then we will find that the cycle that we're in now has been repeated. And in the earlier centuries, when there was massive climate change, the world still went on.
Thank you, councillor Campbell. Okay, councillors, that's the end of the main agenda. We have someone move us into closed council now. There's 9 points of the closed council, so we'll be in there for a while. Move councillor Campbell, second councillor Fisher.